Hey man. Yes, I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Yeah, I just started broadcasting it. Make another attendees presenter available with all attendees. Staff. Trying to get it. It's not letting me settings. How do I get to that? Hey, give me here for a second. Right. I just started the webinar. I'm trying to figure out how to. It won't let me change presenter to Alex.
You should be able to. Where is that? You're logged on as Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go to staff.
The staff just has him.
Okay, and then I think you can.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Then you just got to send the present, make me presenter.
So it says show. Okay. So how do I get?
So I think you can right click on like Alex.
Okay,
Presenter.
presenter. Okay. Wait, view screen.
What do you guys see?
share this screen. What if I go? I don't know.
Where's display?
Recording functionality is disabled. Okay. So I see the black screen. Now how, that's
everyone. This is Jamie Durgan with 5S Technologies. We'll be starting in just a few minutes. Just going to wait for a couple more folks to join on, but appreciate you joining on, and we'll be on in just a few minutes. Thanks.
Good afternoon. This is Sean from Pure.
Everyone, this is Jamie Durgan with 5S Technologies. Today we're going to be talking about Pure Storage, and our presenter today is going to be Alex Medina. Alex is our sales engineer with Pure. And Alex, are you on with us here? Make sure you can.
I am, Jimmy. Let me know if you can hear me.
Yep, can hear you just fine. Awesome, Alex. You know, as everybody knows, 5S Technologies, we're always looking at different, technologies and, the directions that these technologies are going in. We're looking at, market leaders and market progressors, and, Pure is one of those organizations that we've decided to represent. Excuse me. In that they've, made a large impact in the market space. They've got a very unique proposition that Alex is going to go over today. And Alex is going to explain to you why we have chosen to represent them, and some of the benefits that you may see in your environments. So, Alex.
Jamie, thank you. I appreciate it. And the team from 5S, we cannot express our gratitude for the partnership that we've been developing with your team. So I want to first off thank you for the opportunity to get a few folks on this webinar. This is a good way for us at the Pure, within the Pure team, to get a little bit, an introduction to Pure and who we are and what market segmentations and where we're going as an industry as a whole and what we're trying to accomplish going forward. So, Jamie, I don't see the attendee list. I think I see about 13 attended. I just want to say, please, by all means, I don't want to, I think Sean Dutton, my sales engineer, and myself are on this from a Pure perspective. I don't know if any of my other Puritans are on as well, but we would love for this to be as open as possible in a dialogue. So please, we do not want to just kind of go through slides, get into conversation without you guys being engaged and asking us, great questions and moving forward with that. And if we can get into more dialogue, that'd be awesome, because I know that this can get long and a lot of slides. I definitely do have slides to present, but at the same time, I would love it to be more of a question and answer type open dialogue if we get to that point. Okay. So as we kick things off, where does Pure stand? Where we see the future of the industry is really focusing on the data itself. A lot of our, customers today have always been in a siloed approach to really just administer storage, right? You have storage administration, you get your virtualization segmentation, and together you just kind of, operationally trying to provide a service to the business. But we really believe it's a bottom-up approach nowadays. We're seeing more in the market space that data is a centered component to what we're trying to do, and make sure that that data becomes an asset to you in the business. And how do we help that drive revenue and industry competitive nature? So you're seeing a lot of the industry factors showing zettabytes worth of data growing over the next several years. We're starting to see where that data resides. When you start looking at the edge and the core, where does that, the data locality is very critical for real-time information to the users, whether or not it's centralized in the core or out in different global locations. We want to make sure that that data is viable, ready, and in real time for those users. And we're seeing a lot of change in things such as IoT, right? So the IoT of things, where we're seeing a lot of automation, machine learning, and different components around that area, really driving the growth in data. If you think, I think there's some latest statistics that show about 80 to 90% of the data that's recently been, that the recent growth in data has come in within the last 2 years itself. That means there's a high exponential growth in that data. And a lot of that is because of how we're doing things with machines and how we're creating new opportunities, and again, driving that information to our users in real time. And how do we make that in an intelligent data footprint? And I'm trying to get familiar with the webinar tool, and hopefully my slides are continuing. So as you understand, when Pure came to market nearly 10 years ago now, we wanted to make sure that we created a platform that was differentiated from our, what we would call legacy competitors, but the same token, just making sure that we were forward thinking in the platform and what are the 3 critical components that make us really different. If you really think, and I'll dive into this a little bit further as we go along, but if you look at the 3 critical components that we're going to be talking about mostly today is, first, the business model. How do we create a platform that provides an exponential benefit to your TCO and how much you spend on your platform and your storage administration and things of that nature? So, these are just rough estimates on about 1.5 petabytes worth of storage infrastructure. Comparing it, to our legacy competitors, we see on average about a 55% better TCO with the Pure model and our Evergreen model, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a little bit. Second, that customer experience. We understand that, for you guys in the customer, a product and the way it's supported is critical to your business. It takes you away from the day-to-day components of what you're doing. And we want to make sure that we're doing things proactively and at the best, in the best manner possible. So again, Net Promoter Score of 83.7, top 1% in the IT industry. Some of our competitors sit between about 20 and 40 on the Net Promoter Score, and we've actually validated that through Satmetrics, and it's certified by a third party. So if you can understand, you got promoters and detractors. So anybody, promoting at an 8, 9, or 10 means they're a promoter. Anybody sub 8 would be a detractor. So you can see a lot of our customers are adopting the way we do support and how we are responsive to our customers. And again, the Gartner quadrant, 4 times the leader in that space from an all-flash perspective. This is 4 years in a row, and we continue to push ourselves outside of our competitors, further to the right, and even on the scale to ability to execute at a high level with the enterprise space. So again, all those 3 components lead to a large penetration into the market. We see about 4,000 now, roughly over 4,000 customers globally, and probably a little bit over 12,000 arrays is my last calculations, which I can always find the actual numbers for anybody who's of interest. But you can see that the market is starting to adopt heavily, from the small mid-market accounts all the way up to the largest of the Fortune 100s, putting their data and their critical tier 0, tier 1 applications residing on Pure platform. So guys, that's just a quick high level on Pure. Do I have any questions? And I'm sorry I can't see anybody by name, but is there anybody that has any questions thus far? All right, awesome. I'll continue. So guys, how do we drive this new experience? How do we transform? And the questions that we're seeing a lot with our customers, yes, we have decades worth of data. In the days of probably 10, 12, 20 years ago, we've seen that data kind of just reside and either archived or whatnot. We're starting to see a business transformation in the sense that we're starting to see customers say, you know what, I have legacy data. We have a growth in this IoT space. We're doing a lot more in analytics to become competitive. How do we transform what we're doing to make sure that we stay on the cutting edge of taking advantage of all that information? Speaking to some of our customers recently, machines, manufacturing, right? How fast or can we repair, some of these industry leading, manufacturing tools and make sure that they're up and running, right? Making sure that we have sensors on them to understand what that level of consistency on those production machines are running through 24/7, right? So how do we create new business models for our business? How do we take that data and make sure it's fast, it's reliable, it can get to our end users, and how do we innovate at the best and quickest fashion possible? And how do we monetize that? So as you can see, most of our customers over the last several decades. Anybody have a question? Cool. I think we got to get somebody on mute there. So as you go ahead. Oh, sorry guys, I thought there was a question. So as you can see, we see a lot of, over the last several years, we've heard a lot of shadow IT. How do we get, some of our end users, some of our business units moving to the cloud, right? And a lot of the talk was how and why do some of our units move to the cloud and utilize what's out there? Most of it is because of the agility to market, right? How do I get some of my resources the fastest way possible, right? How do I do that simpler? How do I do it on demand? And how do I do that intelligently for my business? So we've seen that, one of the things that Pure has positioned itself early on is we want to give that cloud-like experience to our customers so that they so they can provide the level of data services and security and real-time data infrastructure on-prem, but given that same elasticity that they look for in the cloud, right? We still see customers fragmented and not very cloud-like. You see a lot of different business units with their own infrastructure. Some of the developers running their own, either outside in the cloud. Where are they developing themselves? Do we have corporate IT supporting a different infrastructure siloed cloud? Do we have backup and archive and some of the, those levels of data services running on a different infrastructure by a different team? And how are we managing that all separately? And how is that becoming efficient? We still see that today in the market, and Pure's trying, with our messaging and what we've created is to create that platform that simplifies that whole fragmentation. We still see this, if you look, this is similar to where, our customers are still today, right? You got your production IT infrastructure, you still have a little bit of that dev test environment that could be siloed, either, hybrid there or, hybrid model, or looking at the cloud for elasticity. And then you have a backup group or even an analytics group that's completely separate that nobody knows what they're doing. And again, that just creates a complex data strategy. And how do we globalize the information that we currently use in the business? How do we streamline that the best way possible so that everybody's utilizing and doesn't really, if you look at why they go to cloud, it's because they don't care what's underneath the covers. They want data services. And, Pure is at the forefront of delivering a strategy around all levels of that infrastructure and that data you have. And how do we kind of wrap everybody into a global perspective, right? You still see siloed, difficult to share. You still see that 3 to 5 year, you still see that model where we're seeing refresh cycles, we're seeing migrations, forklift migrations, which become very tedious for our customers. And I'll go a little bit more about, our evergreen model, how we eliminate that, which is probably our biggest differentiator to our competitors, right? And all that siloed infrastructure without the strategy can become very expensive. So again, as we talked about, as I brought up a little bit early on, Pure has absolutely embraced this data-centric architecture. We want to make sure that, we start with the biggest asset. It's information. I think ultimately anybody in this real world can attest to information being the critical component to how you become, competitive, and how do you stay in front of your competitors and all those good things, and how do we turn that information to real life business value. So, we want to make sure it's all consolidated and simplified. There's a couple of things that we'll show Sean and I a little bit on how we do things and how we've simplified the platform. But a lot of our customers, which I'm sorry, I can't see the attendee list. If there's anybody out there that is an actual Pure customer, they've seen, time to market within a couple hours of delivering a product on site that we're installed, configured, and ready to address space. That's critical and very different than some of our competitors. Real-time data, built on an all-flash platform. We want to make sure that data resides, on-prem, globally, and is ready for our customers at all moments of the day, or all seconds of the day. And again, on that, in that front is that on-demand self-driving. We want to make sure that, as we orchestrate and automate requests, just like you would in a cloud and swiping a credit card or just requesting. That in its essence is the basis of what Pure is trying to create in our platform, and what we've been able to deliver to the market is being able to drive that self-driving on-demand like infrastructure and multi-cloud approach, where we absolutely embrace what the public cloud is providing to our customers for certain use cases. And we absolutely respect the fact that there is a model and an adoption to our platform to make sure that you're utilizing the public cloud appropriately and at the best value to you and your dollars. And again, being an all-flash platform and being able to address all types of data, we want to make sure that everything we do is ready for tomorrow and for the biggest applications. We've seen applications growing. We've seen them being more, becoming more complex. We have to be ready for all that as we embrace new growth in IoT, in applications, and analytics. Again, we've stressed this a little bit, but managing multiple storage arrays in all segmentations of the business becomes cumbersome. It becomes expensive. We are focused at Pure Storage to deliver a data service, right? SLAs and data services, and basically creating your own cloud provider on-prem to be able to deliver on the security aspects that are required within your own business and your own industries, and being able to deliver, the resources and the performance that are required for any level of application. So that's critical for us, whether it's object, whether it's block, whether it's file. We want to make sure that we have that ability to integrate and orchestrate the request, and underneath the covers is the platform of choice with the simplistic approach that Pure brings. As you can see, guys, we want to. This multi-cloud approach is really, in our mindset, a single point of cloud integrated through various topographies of that level of infrastructure, right? What's valuable to your business, what's important from an SLA, what's important from a security, and what are those policies that, from a retention and archiving, from your backup, right? And as we grow into this analytics world, we believe that's the fourth component to this, siloed infrastructure that we're seeing in our customers. And we want to make sure we consolidate that, simplify it, give that information in real time, and address all the multi-cloud segmentations that are critical for the business and are good for the business. And again, being ready for tomorrow's applications. So again, guys, what we're talking about here is just making sure that we're simplifying everything within the stack. There are definitely, we've I think early on have been addressed as the all-flash storage array that handles, critical tier 1 or tier 0, tier 1 applications. But really, there's a lot more to Pure Storage and Pure the platform as we simplify the stack, making sure that all levels of applications within your environment, whatever you're trying to address, consolidate that to a underlying layer that delivers the services that you require, and kind of addressing the middleware above it from all your orchestration and automation tools. And empowering developers, I think, is a critical factor that we're seeing here at Pure Storage. Is a lot of our customers are developing product, and when I say product, softwares that enable them to be competitive and to be take advantage against their competitors. And time to market is critical. And as we develop these applications and they become more cumbersome, we want to make sure that that continuous innovation is there, within whatever stack you can. So being that we're an all-flash platform with FlashArray and FlashBlade underneath the covers, we're providing that data cloud you need to deliver all those applications to the market. And again, I think this is going to be something you're going to hear a lot from Pure Storage today, is all in and around the next gen analytics. In ourselves at Pure Storage, we're doing things as an IoT company, as an analytics company, right? We'll talk a little bit about Meta and what we're doing there. I'll dive into that a little bit on some other slides. But in reality, we want to make sure that, we believe analytics is the future and growth of where data is going to take businesses, and how do we convert that data into a competitive advantage. So All in all, I'll actually talk about a really cool announcement that we have that came out a couple of weeks with a partner in NVIDIA, and we'll go through a couple things around that. But ultimately, as you can see here, a lot of our, a lot of customers are really diving into this AI world. How do we turn this innovation for the business, and how do we become a business revenue maker? So you'll see that, within our platform and what we provide is a powerful tool for you as a consumer to be able to turn that data into something that can become a revenue stream for you guys. Let me back up a little bit, guys, just around where we're going and a few of my last couple slides in the messaging. Does anybody have questions on, or projects, something that's pretty intriguing to us to kind of just talk about what you guys are doing in possibly the analytics space or even the development side, or do you even see that siloed? Any questions around that or comments? Cool. I'll continue then. So one of the things that you'll hear a lot from myself and my fellow Puritans is just the three main areas that really differentiate what we created at Pure Storage and what the basis of what we do and will continue to innovate. We'll always have three basic metrics, to products, softwares, or even hardware that we deploy to market from Pure. We'll always have these three fundamental components that are at the pillar of what we create. So we want to make sure everything we do is effortless, right? It's always on. Some of our current customers and even prospective customers will say, well, how do you differentiate yourself? Well, we want to make sure that, the days of tuning storage, the days of administering it and creating, the days of creating pools and aggregates and things of that nature, we've created a platform that eliminates that. We want to be able to manage this, this platform from anywhere, create analytics and be able to look at HTML and anywhere in any device. We also want to make sure everything we do is on the basis of creating the best efficiencies that you can have in a product set. So I think it's kind of funny that the show on HBO, if you guys have seen it, Silicon Valley, around the algorithm and data reduction. It seems like it was kind of funny because part of the premises on that kind of really correlates to what we've done here at Pure Storage, making sure that we can consolidate data footprints by the leading edge, by having the cutting edge on our algorithms for data reduction. So we're seeing about 2 times better data reduction than some of our competitors. So that's just power and cooling, that's space, that's consolidation and data within a footprint. And we've seen racks and racks being consolidated down into a few rack units. Again, we do not compromise any of our data services. We don't want you to have to fine-tune encryption or fine-tune performance. Everything we provide from a software perspective is always available and it's always there to you. And again, the most critical differentiator for us is evergreen. You buy once and you upgrade forever. So, I'll go in through a couple things around these 3 efforts, but again, these are the 3 pillars that will always be at the forefront of anything we deploy for our customers. So as you can see, we manage seamlessly. Again, I think some of our customers are on the line on the call right now, but deployments can take within 1 week of business. 3 to 5 business days, we can have a box shipped out. We can be up and running, cabled, and addressing storage within probably a 2 to 3 hour window safely. And I think if there is a customer out there and can attest to this, I would love a confirmation on that. But everything we've seen, again, is very simple and seamless. Again, SaaS-based management, being able to administer the platform from any device, being your phone, your iPhone or Android, your tablets, or your PC, anywhere, and manage your clouds. Microsoft VMware is an example, from anywhere. And again, creating those alerts and what I'll talk about around Meta, and making sure that you as a administrator is constantly in the loop of what we're doing. Again, the efficiencies and the power of Pure, the data reduction is a powerful tool that we present to our customers, being able to present nearly a petabyte worth of data in a 3U form factor with FlashArray and over a petabyte in a 4U form factor for FlashBlade is a pretty compelling, differentiator to what we do and how we do it. And we'd love to have the opportunity to dive into a little deeper with you as a consumer and show you that level of efficiency, so that it can help kind of create that business case around what you currently are using and how we address that data. So guys, I'll step back. This to me is, being an old bean counter myself, an accountant, I think this is such a critical component to Pure's, identity and what we do in the market, and why we've probably addressed the most net new opportunities in a short period of time. I mean, we've just surpassed $1 billion in revenue, delivering product for about 7 years now, which is really, really compelling. And I asked this question, and I think this is a powerful slide, is as a storage consumer or a data platform consumer, what if that storage got better with age? And I don't think, with what our competitors are offering, and not that they're not very, very powerful companies and with great technology, I think we just do something different. And I think that's where it's been adopted by our customers pretty heavily, is if I had a storage array that literally got better with time, just like if you took a car off a dealership and it got better with time, can you tell me if that would be compelling to you, not having to worry about forklift migrations or anything regarding moving from one array or outsizing yourself from an array? Pure protects our customers from that. And how do we do that? It's our evergreen storage. So when we acquire, if you acquire a platform, within our platform of, or a portfolio of platform products, you'll notice that there's really just 2 SKUs. We have the product hardware and the support, and everything we do is always included. So all of our software, whether we develop it today, tomorrow, or down the line, it's not another line item or acquisition cost to you, the consumer. It's inquired in any release that we provide. So once we release a new code with new features, you as a customer will receive that, right? We give you a love your storage guarantee. For the first 30 days, you don't like the color orange, you can return it at no cost to you. Again, all of our software is included, and we right size guarantee it. So our data reduction, again, is very powerful. And a lot of our customers at first didn't necessarily realize that the power was in that OS and the tools and the softwares that are within Pure. But we guarantee it. So if we don't meet the metrics that we present to you in initial scope, we will actually give you the capacity to make those metrics work for you. Again, you continue to run your platform. It's always flat and fair. So the support costs, the subscription that we provide you for the first 3 years, for example, will be the same cost for the next 3 years, for years 4, 5, and 6, as well as for years 7, 8, 9. So again, in our legacy models, in our legacy competitors, you'll see that hockey stick bump up in year 4, and it becomes that kind of tinkering balance between, do I get new technology or do I pay the maintenance and keep this array for another the 4th year or even possibly the 5th year, and that cost goes up, or they get you into something new and it's a forklift migration. Forever subscription, we always continue to keep the subscription is active, meaning all the software, again, like I mentioned, all the software that we present will continue to develop over time. And as you upgrade, free every 3 years with subscription. So one of the cool things about Evergreen itself is, and why I say what if your storage got better with time, with age, is after 3 years, if you were to call me or Sean or any of my colleagues in the area in the Carolinas and say, hey, we want to renew the next 3 years. So what that would entail for you would be the same cost that the first 3 years were presented to you in the initial purchase. Those next 3 years, let's say for easy numbers, were $50,000. You would present us the renewals for 3 years. We will, in return, provide you the latest and greatest controllers that are equivalent to what you purchased for that first initial investment at no additional cost. So again, your storage controllers will get will get better over time. Your software and the data services that we're presenting are getting better. So this is where we will make the testament that your product will get better after day 1, because if you continue to put support on or your subscription with us, we'll give you new controllers to go with that array, as well as all the developments we have with the software. Guys, this is the biggest differentiator for us. Nobody's doing this in the market space today. And this is probably 80 to 90% of why, excuse me, why our customers adopt Pure Storage. I want to pause here, and if there's any concerns or questions, please feel free to ask me or Sean or anybody else from Pure if they're on. If this makes sense to you and if this is valuable. Any questions around Evergreen Storage? Okay, great. One thing I did miss, and I think it's important, is let's just take an example of some of our customers have had this experience before. You make an acquisition for an array. A year from now, you make an acquisition. Your company makes an acquisition. There's double the growth. Naturally, the process would be buying a whole new array to handle the size and the capacity, and migrating that over to a new array. With Pure Storage and the Evergreen model, the actual capacity is yours, you keep. We can always provide you a SKU, or basically a purchase, to acquire a new controller head of greater size. So if you needed to go from one class like the M20 to an M50 to address more capacity, you will get credit for the first controller heads that are in the M20, or for the M20 controller heads in the array, and we will only charge you for the delta of the controller swap to the M50. So that's, again, another compelling and powerful value of what Evergreen does, and why in the first couple of slides I showed you the TCO being 55% better than our competitors. Part of that is in those, in the traditional run rate of our legacy competitors. Running on 30 minutes, I want to make sure I keep going through some of these. Again, guys, the power of Evergreen is making sure that everything we do is NDU, is non-disruptive upgrades. We've been able to take customers in 2012, delivering our first, which were 1U, basically 1U rack servers, with additional shelves for capacity in the FA320. And we've been able to take that family of array, which is our predecessor to the M, which is in 2015, as you can see in the slide. We've been able to non-disruptively move our customers from an FA to an M through 2015. And where our current customers are residing on is on the M array. And you can see we've released the MR2, which is our version 2 of our controllers with new Intel chips. And we are now delivering the first enterprise class and all NVMe array, which is our X array. And we're soon to be launching our X2, which is an enhancement to the all NVMe array. So as you can see, the life cycle of a product with Pure is fully upgradable and non-disruptive to you as a consumer. And this is a pretty compelling, pretty powerful slide. So this is an actual use case for a customer that has adopted Pure in 2012. And they have actually moved from, as you can see, from 2012, they've added a shelf to their existing array. They did an upgrade to the controllers to make sure that they got larger. They went from the 320s to the 420s to be able to handle more capacity. So they did capacity upgrade. They did controller upgrades non-disruptively. Oh, excuse me, sorry about that. They then moved to the new M class chassis, which is a different different form-fitting architecture. So it's a physical change to our pizza servers, pizza box servers. So the M chassis is our current 3U chassis. So they moved to the M chassis non-disruptively, and now are addressing an upgrade to the X70, which is their all NVMe. And the power of that is, if you can see in the bottom there, $0 wasted. They bought capacity as needed. They added controllers as needed. Nothing was over provisioned and never under purchased. So they've had an increase in capacity, performance, 14 software releases over those nearly 7 years. And you can see their density has just only gotten better. And the hardware generations now have seen 5 different hardware generations, non-disruptive, non-disruptively presented to the business. Any questions around Evergreen and this journey? Cool. So I'll have I'm going to go through a couple slides here, and then I'll have Sean. But what we want to talk about a little bit here is, the platform in itself is a component of course, yes, the hardware, how we do things and how we manufacture, but really the power of the software and the innovation that we are presenting in the business, and how do we continue to innovate for you, the customer. As I mentioned in the Evergreen, if we develop something, and as we develop it, it in your best interest that we continue to do that in the most efficient manner and providing that effortlessly and efficiently to you. And that's on, again, the pillars of what we create and how we create it. And it becomes available to you. So as we release these new code, new software releases as a consumer and maintaining subscription with us, that value is then turned to you as a customer at no additional cost. So again, the big focuses of Pure is, how we're trying to deliver on this new tier 1 platform. How do we, create an infrastructure and software integration to allow customers to dabble into big intelligence and big data, and how they turn that into new value proposition to the business. So those next gen type data infrastructures, how we adopt cloud and integrate with cloud as necessary for our customers, and how do we create that infrastructure, that infrastructure for enterprises in a cloud-like manner to deliver those services. So you'll see a lot of real development for us is around these 4 core technologies. So you hear from Sean and myself and the rest of the team around Direct Flash, which is all NVMe. We are getting a lot of recognition currently for delivering the first enterprise caliber all NVMe platform. And that's where we foresee in the near future, when I say near, very near compared to some of our competitors, is the platform of choice would be to go into an all NVMe portfolio, which anybody currently today in the M chassis is completely upgradable to an all NVMe at any time they wish. And if they took advantage of Evergreen down the line, they would be able to, and they have the plumbing in their M chassis, to utilize a transition non-disruptively into an all NVMe platform. So again, that metadata fabric, how do we do this in the best efficient global compression, and how we do things on a variable perspective? We're architecting our Evergreen, so everything we do, again, will always maintain that one of those, or all 3 of those pillars, around Evergreen and efficiencies and effortless, right? So everything we do is continue to maintain those 3 key pillars of what we present. And lastly, we're becoming our own AI engine, and we're trying to fingerprint all of our technologies globally to make sure that we, understand that if there are any, architectures, not outside of Pure, but from a software stack and network stack and security, anything that we see could be a trigger to be of concern, we want to be able to fingerprint that and be able to present that to multiple, customers, and be proactive in our support, which is the most important aspect of what we at Pure are trying to establish with our support model, is to be predominantly proactive versus reactive for you, the customer. So if we can address, and what we consider a DNA issue within the workload, make sure that we can point to that and present that to other customers that may have like concerns. Again, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but we are completely now with the first enterprise caliber 100% all NVMe array for those critical analytics that are presented in the business, or very high IOP and low latency requirements. But again, these are definite use cases for this, but at the same token, we are also presenting this as the way of the future because of where big data is going, where our consumers are taking their data currently, and what we're seeing from an application perspective, and how that those applications are changing every day. So as you can see, it's a very powerful tool, and we're seeing an incredible value to the business with something that is pretty unique to the market space. And I'm gonna see if this is something that we can talk about a little bit. I know this is an eyesore, but really, again, we want to make sure that our infrastructure is in place. We have, the components from our platform to be able to address and deliver those core technologies and what we're trying to deliver for our customers. So as you can see, our typical conversations tend to be around our production environments. On occasion, it bleeds over into our test dev environments. Some of our customers have siloed groups that work different areas, and they're utilizing different infrastructure. And we're starting to see now our customers adopt data scientists and looking at AI and analytics and growing that segmentation of their business. And to us, within the Pure model, we want to create the segmentation to the business and be able to deliver that orchestration that you're creating currently and the automation, and be able to deliver resources as required, and make sure that all of that is integrated based on open automation, right? Everything we do is with REST API. We're not constructing or constricting our customers to look at solely Pure developed softwares and kind of keep you within a Pure platform. That's not our model. Is to be able to allow our customers the flexibility, and will always continue to be where we want to integrate with the that third segmentation of the world and the orchestrations, the OpenShifts, and et cetera. We want to make sure that we're developing integration points and creating workflows so that as you create that middleware layer, we are the underlying platform to deliver on those resources. So again, giving you the cloud-like consumption with the on-prem data services, and making sure that the core and the edge are globally connected. And again, creating that security platform, making sure that you have your own industry-leading required security. We want to make sure we're delivering on 6 nines of availability and 6 nines of performance, which on-prem provides, and doing that at a low cost, leading business value for the kind of integration of everybody within the business, versus having those siloed segmentations. Any questions around our Pure Data Cloud? Any integration, any specific tools or automation orchestration tools that are being utilized today? Great. So Sean, what we want to talk a little bit about is, and I'll lead into having Sean take over a few of these slides, is, again, this is just to illustrate some of the products that we just delivered on, and again, where the power of Evergreen comes in. So if you recognize an active cluster, you recognize that some of our competitors have taken a multitude of approaches where it's a cost burden, where there is hardware, there's sometimes software, and there's heavy PS services. Again, this, and I'll let Sean kind of talk through how we do this, but again, this was when you talk about efficiency, and we talk about the simplistic approach, 4 clicks with the existing hardware and existing software. So our customers, as they adopted the newest code to integrate Active Cluster, it is, and there's YouTube videos out there that you can follow, and we will be glad to share that with you guys or have a conversation around it. But this is a critical value of what the subscription to our innovation means. We launched this release. We have now presented probably a $250,000 to $500,000 investment to our customers at no additional cost, and doing that effortlessly with four quick clicks to get yourself in Active Cluster mode. So again, this is just to illustrate the power of what Evergreen is. Sean, if you wouldn't mind just kind of talking a little bit more about the architecture, how we do it, and then kind of going through a couple of those slides that show a little bit of the product features that we present.
Sure. Thanks, Alex. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, perfect. As Alex mentioned, as part of our subscription to innovation, we released Active Cluster. This is a free product that belongs to anybody who currently has active maintenance and is on the latest version of Purity, which is 5.0. So basically, you can have a volume actively sync across 2 arrays without any additional hardware. The only current requirement for this is to have a 5 millisecond latency between the 2 arrays, so up to 150 miles. Within an active cluster, both sides are rewrite enabled on the same volume. So the best thing about this is it's volume at a volume level, not at array level. So it's not an all or nothing. So you get to select which volumes you want to have within the active cluster. So if you want production in an active and your test dev only on a single array, then you have that flexibility. Next slide. the next feature we're going to talk about is our Snap and Cloud Snap. So all of our snapshots are currently portable snapshots, meaning you're able to take a snapshot from your production array and copy it onto any NFS or S3 target. So if you have an existing, as the slide shows, NetApp target or a disaster recovery array with a NFS share, you can take your NFS or your snapshots and copy them over to any NFS or S3 target. The great thing about these is all the metadata for the snapshots are within each portable snapshot. So you'll be able to rehydrate either within the cloud or to any other flash array. It doesn't have to be the source array that it came from. So it makes it very portable, very flexible. And the other great thing is it talks to any S3. So there is no cloud gateway required. So no additional hardware that you have to purchase. Next one. So one of the innovations that Pure does is our DirectFlash software. DirectFlash software takes all the processing operations that happen within a flash module, moves them up into the operating system. So this reduces wear and tear on the drive itself and any processing which creates latency off of the drive. The other thing it does for us is it gives us flexibility onto what media we're able to use within the array. It future protects us. So for, any type of class of flash that is now, and then like 3D NAND that's coming eventually, we're already future protected for those different technologies coming. NVMe today gives us 128 different lanes going communication down to a drive or from the controllers down to a disk shelf. Today, iSCSI, which is the bottleneck, is a single lane. So you have, a one read-write transaction. That's why, in traditional storage, the more drives you had, the more I/O you were able to get. With NVMe, we're able to shrink that footprint down, have 128 lanes, and better performance. Thanks. So automation of your clouds. Pure is an API-driven storage platform. We are very active in the open source community, and we even have our own open source hosted site, code.purestorage.com, which we can send out. This site basically gives you any tools and a look into any of the open source, as in Ansible, Kubernetes, Docker, any tools that we're working to give you a better automation to your environment. So these tools help, so like ServiceNow workflows. So if you're looking at automating your environment to where if a user wants to, request a new volume for a virtual machine, you don't have to have an admin that sits there and creates that volume and assign it. You can go through a ServiceNow workflow with approval processes, and then it's all automated on the back end. It helps time, saves money, and it allows your administrators to start focusing more on the company versus, day-to-day, administration of the environment. And then the next slide. So next gen smart data platform, from your tier 1 down to your test dev, analytics, or backup and recovery, Pure is working very hard to have those tools to help automate, your daily routines and your workflows. You know, if it's a flash array, if it's a flash blade, you can expect the same look and feel across both platforms. It's simple and it's fast. All right, Alex.
Thanks, Sean. I'll take it from here. So guys, and I alluded to some of these points. Ultimately, this is where a big investment of Pure is coming into development today. Meta is going to be our predictive intelligence around your current environments and what the world is seeing from an environment and architecture. So what we feel is, you know, as we become our own IoT and IT analytics company, I mentioned a couple things earlier, but we want to make, you know, our heartbeats are every 30 seconds back, and we're analyzing your arrays very proactively. So I'm assuming there are customers there are on the line that have witnessed and have experienced our support firsthand. Roughly about 75% of our support tickets are opened proactively by Pure to let you, our customers, know that there might be an issue. So as we create our analytics, we want to fingerprint and identify a certain stack that our customers may have. And if, let's take, for example, 6.5 from VMware is released, and some of our customers are adopting vVol's integration and how we deliver that. For example, if there are any concerns with any new releases around 6.5, we want to fingerprint that. We want to make sure we understand that stack and what it is, and we then want to, in return, reach out to our customers that may have that same infrastructure or that same stack and determine any troubleshooting metrics that we need to present so that we can avoid any either minor or larger concerns going forward. Again, being proactive with our support. Again, you know, these kind of slides mimic what we've just talked about: fingerprinting it, searching arrays in real time, and matching any conflicts, and then notifying you and support notifying tickets opened with the varying severities depending on the issues that we have found. Which, again, having us call you in theater from resources here locally in the U.S. real time and being able to address that is really critical, and I think a very big differentiator from us to our competitors. And again, being able to do and analyze and to support and manage any of your infrastructure remotely at any point in time, which allows, heck, if you're on vacation or if you're just out and about, you know, visiting another site within your organization, being able to do that from anywhere is, I think, very important. And we wanted to deliver on that and continue to innovate that feature. As you can see, we'll continue to drop down our level of support beyond just the beyond just the storage infrastructure. We want to be able to take that down to the host and VM level, and we'll continue to innovate within Meta and Pure1, all those features and where we're developing. So we'll continue to get deeper into the analytics and how we help you, drill down to actual root cause issues just under Pure1. And making that streamlined for you guys as a consumer. So this is, again, the power of where Pure is developing and some of our partnerships. Again, this is something we just released about 3 weeks ago now, so it's very fresh to Sean and myself and to our team. But what I think is critical in some of the components, that we have talked about today in the presentation are analytics are real. We're expecting zettabytes. We're talking zettabytes of data here in the near future. That's if I know my math, it's about 1 billion terabytes of data. Again, 80-90% of that growth has come in the last couple of years, right? Because we now have machines creating software. We have machines creating innovation, and the time to market that those supercomputers can create software is at an exponential, physical capability that humans developing software. And I think a lot of our customers that, we're pleasantly surprised here at Pure, and even as we talk about it, there are teams doing AI that we just are not even familiar with it. And that we have not traditionally talked to those folks. And customers are looking for data scientists as new resources. So it's really cool to see from manufacturing to research and genomic researches, industry to from the medical and healthcare, sectors, how they're turning all of this information into real-time, components to their end users and to those using that information to create a better experience for their customers, or using that information to, like, for example, genome research, being able to sell that, to possible customers or even new customers. So again, AIRI is that AI ready infrastructure. We're seeing that, within FlashBlade and FlashArray components and with NVIDIA's GPU, we're starting to see that it's kind of interesting to see where software was and how it was developed, right? Punch cards in the 50s, and how we're transforming those industries and how we're creating, new industries just on technology and social media and where that's going. And, software as a service, how we're delivering those components to our business versus selling the actual software, right? Door to door and B2B. Now we're doing it as a service. And a lot of our customers that could be on this webinar now are delivering software to the customers. How do we, make sure that is 6 nines of performance, 6 nines of availability, and being able to deliver more product to our customers? Again, creating new industries, and where we're at today, it's a lot of machines and how we're innovating that. And then, ultimately, this new approach, this 2.0, and this neural network world, to me is incredibly interesting. It's intriguing in the sense that I have no idea what it really is from a data science. I mean, these are computer scientists that are working on how these machines are creating new product and how fast they can do it. Again, how do they need the thousands and thousands of cores to be able to expand how they deliver these softwares? And we are in the forefront of that at Pure Storage and our platform, and how we're taking the beyond the limits of what we're calling software 1.0, and now moving to this new software 2.0, the new force. As you can see, just traditionally, software has been a software developer. There's been explicit code. There's compilers and CPUs that you run it on and you develop on. It's Ethernet based, and architecturally it's serial based. Yep. Okay. And so again, moving into this new GPU world and parallel world of developing. So again, Pure has come up with the new industries first, complete AI ready, with partnership of NVIDIA, which is an interesting tool and where we're going. So guys, Mike just brought up to my attention, we are now at the end of our presentation, and we would love to talk to you more about AIRI as necessary, and get your developers and your analytics team together. This is a very cool and forward-thinking platform that we've put together in ConvergeStack from a software and hardware perspective to be ready to handle these workloads. Again, those bottlenecks of how we do the GPUs. So guys, again, we appreciate, I know this was an hour, a lot of slides and a lot of information. For some, it might be new. For some, it might be, some information that has been gathered because you're a customer of Pure. I'd love to leave this open for Q&A for the last couple minutes. Please feel free to chime in here. I don't know if there's audio, Ryan or Jamie, if there's anybody that may have a question, if you can type it in there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and take everybody off mute. So for those that are in a loud conference room, you may want to be prepared for that. But we're gonna go ahead and take everybody off mute. Chris, I think sorry for Alex and Sean. Thank you so much. I think that you did it. You guys, it was a great presentation. I'm taking everybody off mute now.
There were no Indians.
Sometimes we just have to reset.
So I've been able to stay ahead of the curve on all the.
Not really, no. I mean, I think it seems like she's doing a good job. I mean, it's hard
up to IT management, so I mean.
Okay, so I'm going to leave everybody on mute. If there are any questions, please go ahead and use the tool. But Sean, Alex, I do appreciate you guys handling the presentation, and I think given the perspective of 5S's stance of data intelligence, predictive intelligence, and that simplified administration, you guys kind of hit on the keys of why we've chosen Pure to represent, and why we like the technology so much, and certainly the advancements in the technologies that you guys have demonstrated. Okay, Sally, I'm going to take you off mute. Here we go. Sally, you with us? Sally, I got you off mute. Maybe there's mute on your side. Sally, you there? For some reason, I can't. Sally, I'm sorry, I can't take you off mute. One of the comments that Sally had put in here was that she had installed her array in about 23 minutes. And that's saying a lot for the technology and how well, it can go in and how simplified the administration for these boxes really is. So sorry, Sally, I wasn't able to mute you there. Listen, if there's any other questions, everybody's got my contact information that's on these calls. Also, we're happy to get you guys in touch with Pure. I know Josh will be reaching out to you just to follow up. If there's any questions that come up, please feel free to reach out to Josh or myself. We'll make sure that you guys have contacts with Pure as well. So thanks for joining, and look forward to our next webinar next month. Thank you so much.